So free. One more time, music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time, music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time, music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time, music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time, it's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time, music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time, music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time, music's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, yeah. One more time, it's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time, it's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time, it's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free. One more time, it's got me feeling so free. We're gonna celebrate, celebrate and dance so free.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the main room where we are bringing it all together. It is my pleasure to introduce First Tee's fearless leader, our CEO, Greg McLaughlin.
Well, that might be my cue. I thought there was something more to that. So, hello, friends. To coin Jim Nance's famous line. Hope you guys have enjoyed the last 3 days of the fall meetings. I see the music has been a high point of it as well. So, again, congratulations to Jen, Brittany, the whole team really for the work that they've done. So it's been I think, really rewarding, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Again, maybe not as exciting as being together, but that'll be soon enough, hopefully. If not beginning of next year, in some form, then, certainly in Dallas that we'll get together roughly about a year and a week from now. So 53 weeks away or so. I just wanted to touch on a couple of things that I've been probably most impressed with, really the difficulty that the last 2 years have been really on all of us, really. I mean, the chapter leads, your staff, the boards, your volunteers, coaches, and I just can't tell you how impressed that I've been in, the work, obviously the work with our team, but the work that you've really been able to do and how you've really managed through this whole process, looking back on, March, April of 2020, it was some pretty scary times, but I've been really, really impressed with the work that, all of you have done really the last 2 years and what I think will be the most challenging conditions that we've ever faced and any of us probably will ever face in our professional lives as part of it. So I want to thank you all really for your leadership and commitment, to the program, because as I've said, our job's to support you. I mean, we're here, and that's the resources that that we're providing, and we want your feedback, because if it doesn't work for you, then we need to make sure that we're fixing it and providing you the support that you needed. So we've talked. I think a lot the last couple of days and really, maybe the last couple of years about, change. And as Jen mentioned, I think Artie Stars, talked about Nokia. Everybody remembers I think it was a 5150, right? The small little phone that came out, which was the hot product, at the time, revolutionized kind of the world. But, you talk about pivoting and being able to, to change. If you don't change and you don't evolve, then you're really not going to grow. And we all believe that our network is different. And I think a lot of you have been asking for change, and hopefully the things that we're doing are delivering the value that you all can then deliver, to the kids and parents and your community where you really are. So, and again, I thank you guys for the nimbleness and willing to take on, these unique challenges and effectively change with us. So I wanted to draw your attention to the slide one more time, and specifically what our vision is. So several things that that we've looked at, and I know you've heard it the last couple of days, but a couple things that we're focusing on really in the future is giving kids and teens, and I say teens as well, to have greater access to our programs and stay with us longer, which, retention is key, and it's key for us because the longer that they're in our programs, the more meaningful their impact is. And I know that because when you look at the young people that have been with you for a long time, and, I meet them at our participant events and I get a chance to talk to them, and I can see really how they've developed really through the work that you've done. So I think that's key, and that's a big growth area for us. And while we've accomplished a lot, over the first 25 years, we're really focused on, ensuring that we're positioned for, more access, engagement, and ultimately more impact. That's the buzz term that, that we keep hearing, when we talk to, whether it's our board or donors or people in the community, is, after 25 years, what's the impact of your program? What are you really ultimately being able to deliver? And those are some of the key things that that we're focused on specifically. And hopefully you've been able to gather that the last couple of days. So I think the theme, tomorrow's opportunities, and again, I'll touch on a couple of them: retention and achievement. And I think our programs being age-based. When I first came in, that was the first thing that I noticed in my, former position. We had age-based challenges as well, and didn't quite pivot early enough. But we learned from the kids that you got to have age-based programs, and I think that's one of the most significant changes that will keep kids in the program longer and attract maybe some of the older kids as well. And then, obviously the digital engagement, the way kids learn today, isn't the way maybe the kids learned 5, 10, and certainly 25 years ago, but that's going to drive retention. And that's what Bridgespan's telling us. And that's what I think is really being achieved in other programs, similar to us. And it could never be more important than an underserved and underrepresented communities. So I think those are key: retention, achievement. The work that really the First T and you all have done around diversity, equity, and inclusion for 25 years, really led by Joe Barrow. It's extraordinary, and it's something that, we're going to continue to make a focus to expand, access and be more inclusive. And it's something that, again, it's been a focus of this organization for a long time, and it's going to continue to be. And, to use a overused term, I mean, if we can double down on it, then, I think we're going to do that. I would say probably third, the academic and social benefits are probably key. Anything that relates back to the classroom is tremendously valuable. And I think our programs are relating extensively back into the classroom. And again, I've been saying it at least for the last couple minutes, and we've, I think, drilled that point home. Participants that stay with us longer, again, are going to get, greater benefits, and they're going to build on the skills, that you all are working with them every day. And then technology, I mean, again, as I pointed out the other day, something as simple as an app will revolutionize our organization, I think, tremendously. And we're committed, to the long haul, and ensuring that the resources that you guys have, the resources from us, to be able to implement the technology that's needed. So, in closing, I would just say that, this transformation and evolution of our organization requires us, to work together, and our team's committed, to your success, and we're here to support you throughout the process. So again, we thank you, and excited about really what the future is, and excited to be working together as we kind of go forward. So with that, I will turn it over to my colleague, Jane Fader, who's Vice President of Communications and Marketing. She's going to join us and moderate our panel, which we're going to answer your questions. So Jane?
Hi there. It is great to be with everybody today. Closing out these last 3 days, I've been listening and watching to all of it. I don't know about you, but I felt my heart rate go up a few times. But I actually think that's a really good thing, because I think it means we've got some challenge ahead of us. And I always think that's great. So happy to be moderating this panel today. Greg, thank you. Introducing again, Jennifer Weiler, our Senior Vice President of Network Relations, and Kelvin Williams, who was just with us a little short while ago. I'd also like to introduce, some of you were with her yesterday during a breakout session, but Kristen Westberg is our Director of Curriculum and Education. From the moment Kristen walked in our doors, she has done nothing other than add incredible value to the work that this organization has done. So we are really, really lucky to have her on board. So we're going to spend, as Greg said, the next 15 or so minutes answering some of your questions. First and foremost, I love this. It's very rare where I get the position to put our CEO on the hot seat. So it's actually my favorite position to be in. Greg, the first question is from Bucky Dudley in Charleston, and he's wondering, on a good day, what's your average score?
On a good day, golf score, right? On the golf course?
Yes, sir.
Well, so I'm a 12.3 index. So, I mean, on a great day, it's a rare, break an 80, a 79. I would say anything under 85, but a lot depends on what tees I'm ultimately playing. So I would say anything less than 85, I'm usually walking away kind of happy as part of it. Anything above an 85 is, I'm grumbling a little bit about what
Okay, good to know. Yeah. The next really important question is the network is wondering, what's the painting behind you? I promise this is going to get.
I had a one-on-one with Brandon yesterday, and if you'll recall, for those of you that were in day one of the session, I got a text from Jen, and she's like, "Hey, can you ad lib a little bit?" So I offered up, if anybody could actually describe what this even is, then you would be able to get a free admission, I guess, to our annual meeting next year. I have absolutely no idea. That's
okay.
I don't know. I didn't pick it. For the first 6 months, it was just a blank wall, and it looked like you were maybe in a prison or something like that. And then they kind of just put it up, and I'm not quite sure. I can tell you that President Bush did not do this. That was one thing, I guess, that Brandon had, but no, I'm not really quite sure what it is. But
okay,
yeah.
Well, we'll see if next time you appear, we can pop something else back there. So, okay, on a more serious note, and I've heard other chapters ask this before too. A number of our chapters are in larger markets, and they seem to be able to reap the rewards of having a PGA Tour stop each year. Smaller markets appear to be left out of that opportunity. How can small markets benefit from the partnership with the PGA Tour?
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a small or it's a large, because you've got, Korn Ferry and Champions Tour that are playing in, maybe smaller markets, I guess, as part of it. I think maybe, and I had this question at our fall meeting in 2019 is, what benefit do I get if in fact I'm not, connected with any kind of a PGA Tour, LPGA Tour market? What's the benefit? And the way I answered it before, and I'll, kind of reiterate it as well. Again, all the tournaments are all separate 501c3s, and, they're making decisions on who they're going to support philanthropically, and not all of them support First Tees, unfortunately. And I think that's, something that we, continually strive. So even tournaments that have or First Tee chapters that have tournaments in their market oftentimes do not have that relationship. So it's not something necessarily where you're automatically set, if you do. But what I would say is, I think that the value that the PGA Tour provides us is, kind of severalfold. One, the national advertising campaign that they do, which, pushes $5 million annually, I think adds tremendous, awareness, brand value, recognition, and that's going, to 1 billion, households worldwide. So I think number one, it creates certainly a great awareness that we're going to get in our message from BrandSpot. And Jane, you certainly can attest to that, because that's what you do and how you drive it and continue to, create those. That's number one. Number two is, their official marketing partners that they provide. I'll just give you a good example. CapTech is one. I'd like to say, kind of fuddled around a little bit trying to figure out, launching our technology platform and our curriculum design. And, we had a couple of, starts and stops trying to figure out exactly what we wanted to do. And then we get connected with CapTech, who's basically doing all of the PGA Tour gaming. And we instantly jumped into the big leagues with a company that was amazingly sophisticated, that has now been guiding us for the last 6 to 12 months throughout this process. And I think and Kelvin and Jen and Kristen can all tell you that I believe that had we not get connected with these guys, I think our launch would have been maybe a little bit more challenging than it's ultimately going to be when we go out, and that's all a tour official marketing partner. So the value that they're providing us really for resources and technology, I think is something that the whole chapters network's benefiting from. And then probably the last two is just, when we get funding, the funding that comes into headquarters unrestricted basically goes to give us the ability to, drive, our programs and provide resources really to the whole network. And that's effectively what we're doing, and that's what the team does. And then the biggest one being is obviously this Charles Schwab grant. Chuck's been a huge supporter of the First Tee for a long time, but I don't think that we would have received a $25 million challenge grant, payable to every chapter over the next 6 years, without really the support of the PGA Tour and Jay Monahan and really the leadership, that he provided. I think it just made it comfortable and easy, for Chuck to want to do it. So, to me, those are just a handful of things that I think the whole network's benefiting from the PGA Tour relationship.
That's great. Thank you. I'm going to switch gears a little bit. Kristen, this question rolled in over the last few days from a number of different chapters. So we are already in the process of planning for our 2022 programs. When will we get the information, and when will we be rolling it out? And how can we really make it easy for our chapters to learn through these changes?
Yeah, it's a great question. Okay, for coaches. Okay, it's a great question. And I'll do my best to touch on a couple of points. And if I don't answer it, please join us afterwards for the Q&A to go a little bit deeper. But I can tell you, I know you've already been planning for 2022. So our approach is 2022 is going to be a phased approach to the introduction of all of the modernized pieces of our program, recognizing some parts of transformation. They really, things need to be done in sequence, and we're taking great care to do that so that we can make the transition for you really easy. So the plan is over the course of the next year, 2022, First Tee is going to begin to sunset some of our current programs and begin to phase in some of our newer assets, our newer refreshed programs. So the goal would be that everyone would be transitioned with these components by 2023. So really we have the entire next year to really begin to make those transitions. So for 2022, you can expect by the end of Q1, you're going to have the refreshed coach guides and program materials in hand. So you can begin familiarizing yourselves with all of them. And it's my hope that once you actually have it in hand and you see what the age-based programming materials are going to be, you're going to be able to better wrap your minds around it and determine how and when you want to begin to implement it in your chapters. So you'll have some say around that. To support, headquarters are going to lead a series of webinars and internal trainings to really help you familiarize yourself with it, instructors and coaches, getting you guys all up to speed. And I think it's also important to emphasize that training coaches is going to be more than just sending them to these headquarters-led trainings. So it's going to be up to chapters to offer trainings and create your own coach development cycle of your local trainings, class observations, and feedback, and really engage with your coaches and how you want it to run. So send your coaches to training in 2022. We will be utilizing the refreshed program content, but the what we're doing is not changing. The coach building blocks are staying the same for First Tee. So all of that stays the same, but send your coaches there. We'll have that training released in Impact today, the schedule for 2022. And then the app. I know that's a big part of when's the app coming? When can we expect that in part of the timeline? So the content is being developed. It takes a while with technology and creating apps. It's just not something overnight. So we look to have that done by summer, where we can begin piloting it and testing it. And then the big reveal to everyone will be at Network Summit in November. So we look forward to sharing more of that with you there, and you're not going to miss it. All this to say, Jane, real quick, is that we're going to provide opportunities for chapters who are excited and ready and want to go first and really test some of these enhancements, like phasing in age-based programming with our refreshed curriculum and beginning to use our age-enhanced parent portal registration. So if you are interested in being one of our Go First groups, reach out to your DCR after the fall meeting and get in touch with us, and we will be excited to actually get some of you going a little bit sooner.
Okay, that is awesome, Kristen. Thank you. And I think the quote was something as simple as an app. So, Kristen, if you're looking for a new member of your team on developing that simple app, I think you've got I think our CEO is raising his hand. So there you go. Okay. To move to a very important subject that did come in from some chapters, and I think is probably on more chapters' minds too. Some of these changes, will they come with extra costs to chapters, and what can we expect? So Jen, do you mind taking that one?
Sure. First, I wanted to thank the hundreds and hundreds of you who have stuck with us here to the very end of our virtual fall meetings. We're so excited that you're hanging on and hopefully enjoying this as much as we are. So to answer Jane's your good question, if you think back to my remarks on Tuesday, I talked about 4 areas of the business where we would be seeing change. So the curriculum evolution, a renewed focus on underserved and underrepresented communities, leveraging technology, and then the management and operation of your chapters, i.e. staffing levels. So let's go through those really quickly. Curriculum evolution, we don't really see much in the way of hard costs around the evolution itself. Where you will see an investment is in time, I think, more for coaches and program directors to really wrap their arms around and understand this, especially the age-based programming, for example. The refreshed orientations to the refreshed curriculum won't cost chapters anything. So we're trying to mitigate those costs as much as possible. From the perspective of underserved and underrepresented communities, as you go about your strategic planning processes, boards and staff together, we expect that you'll make decisions about where you want to program in your community. You may look at a part of your community where you're not reaching kids today. You may decide to open up a program location there, and there could be a cost associated with that, i.e. New coaches and perhaps investment in technology that could help kids in that community. And to that regard, we do have our teammates in advancement who are really working hard to try and find some national partners who could help with those expenses. From a leveraging technology perspective, chapters have been used to paying technology fees for years, and they've stayed pretty constant around $3,700, which includes your website platform, your Salesforce licenses, and your access to e-learning. We've covered those costs the last 2 years at headquarters as part of our COVID relief efforts. We came out just recently saying that those costs will come back and they'll be at the same level for a period of time at around that $3,700 level. We do know that once the app rolls out, there'll be some additional fees that come with that. And some of those fees, not all of them, some of them will be passed on to chapters. We will be very transparent about what they are. We think they're going to be very incremental, and we'll let you know far in advance about them. And then that final part of where you'll see change in management and operation of your chapters. Again, during that strategic planning process that you're going to be going through, think about, how do we want to be staffed? Do we need more full-time staff? Do we need more full-time coaches? If that's the case, then obviously there's some costs associated with it. But as I mentioned in my remarks on Tuesday, we're so hopeful that the Charles Schwab Challenge Grant Program can help in that regard too.
Thank you, Jen. I want to get Kelvin in for one question before we start to wrap up. Kelvin, this one is from our friend Tiffany English and at First Steve Lake County. Currently, there is a lot of attention on guaranteeing that chapters have coaches that reflect the populations they serve. We know that employers tend to hire PLEs, people like me. How is HQ impacting and influencing the employment of qualified female and non-Caucasian executive directors and program directors at the chapter level? Great question.
Thank you, Jane. First of all, I had to, when I heard that PLE, I like to think I'm hip and I'm, in step with what's going on. That's the first time I heard that.
Kelvin, you're super hip. Fear not.
Tiffany, I would say, and to all those out there in virtual land, I would say what I've said from the very beginning, or I should say what we said from the very beginning, is through awareness and education. That's why we partnered with RISE to educate us on the need for diversity. It's our goal by 2025 to have our entire chapter network diversity trained. So in order for us to understand, one, make a connection, and then take action for that change. We often put the cart before the horse in this space. And so you're going to hear us continue to pound diversity training, so we can all understand what we're doing and why we need to do it. And I think that once we understand and we're trained and, we can then, like I said, make the connection we need with the various different platforms to seek out diverse candidates. It's always a question of, once we get diversity, what do we do next? And so we have to change. There has to be a change in how we welcome folks. And so that is one of the things that we're going to be working on. We're also putting together, we'll be putting together a task force from the network to help advise us, our DE&I committee, on all things DE&I. So that'll be coming out in 2022. Secondly, I would share with you the new executive director hiring process. This was a service that we began last year that we offer to chapters when they have an executive director vacancy. What we typically do is we initially visit with the board chair and the hiring team, and we discuss their needs. And I'll say I've been extremely proud of the folks that we work with thus far. Just about all of them asked or requested or talked about diverse candidates. So that is a great sign, and that's only going to get better and better. Lastly, I would say the greatest impact and influence is always by example. Look at headquarters. I've been here now a year and a half, and when you look at our headquarters staff, we have 47 staffers. 25 of them are ladies. I don't know if Greg, you knew that or not, but 25 of our staff. So we're outnumbered, my friend. And that's a good thing, and then look at our leadership team. We have 4 members of our leadership team, and 2 are women and 1 is an African-American. So by any standard, I'd say that's not bad. We got a long way to go in this whole realm. And it's a lot of things that go into this. We have a long way to go, but this is progress. And, especially when you talk about in golf standards, we're ahead of that. So if you're talking about, how we're impacting and how we're influencing, you can take a look at those 3 things that I just talked about: education, a new hiring process, and as well as look at our HQ staff. Those are the things that I would suggest that from a chapter's perspective to look at. And as always, we're here 24/7 to take calls and meet with you on how to help you in that space. So.
Great, Kelvin, thank you. I am sorry we did not have more time today. Greg, Jen, Kelvin, and Kristen, thank you all for your time today and for your leadership. As we conclude the 2021 virtual fall meetings, I've got a couple of quick housekeeping items to hit, but I want to thank you. You've got a full cheerleading squad here at the First Steve HQ, and I just appreciate you showing up, for all 3 days, not just listening, but really leaning in. We're excited to hit the ground running. We're all in it together. It is a journey, and we will definitely be taking it together. But it's really exciting as we approach our 25th anniversary to be making all these incredible changes to help position the organization for the future. So, okay, so real quickly, if you asked a question while you were registering or throughout the process in the chat that you did not get answered today, fear not, we will follow up with you. We know we answered a lot of questions through the course of the material, but we have captured all the questions and we'll definitely get back with you if you had a more specific question. If you still have questions, there is an open Q&A immediately following this session. I would like to refer to it as an after party. So please feel free to log in. There's 5 or 6 sort of different breakout rooms depending on your questions. Because again, we do want to make sure that we are available as you're thinking about it. Definitely a journey, but I think as part of our curriculum, we talk about be patient, be positive, and ask for help. So your lines with your DCRs are open throughout this entire process. Don't be upset, frustrated, and not communicate about it. Please keep open lines of communication as we work through it together. Okay, before I give away the winner for the Network Summit, I wanted to mention that there is going to be a post-event feedback survey. There is one on the Attendee Hub. We will also send it in an email. It is super important to us. We love feedback and we cannot get enough of it. So please take a few minutes to fill that out. Those who fill it out will be entered to win some prizes from our fabulous corporate partners. So totally worth the effort. Okay, and finally, as Greg alluded to too, the countdown is on to Dallas. It is actually 370 days to be precise, and we cannot wait to reconnect with everybody. I personally plan on giving hugging every person I see. So super excited for that. So the registration for the Network Summit will open up in June of next year. Stay tuned to Impact Today for all of the details. As we said on day one, we are offering a grand prize today. A free Network Summit registration for a chapter. It's valued at $575. It is being given to somebody who has had representation every day of the fall meeting. So I am pleased to share with you that First Tee of Lake Erie is our winner. So there's no crowd in the room, but I'm sure you're all cheering. So congratulations, First Tee Lake Erie. We're so excited that you guys will be there next year. And in closing, as we leave you, please know how much we appreciate this chapter network on every level. We really appreciate you taking the time to be with us over the last couple of days, and we look forward to working together. Have a great day.
Life is short and time is borrowed. Let's live these good old days. Raise your glass and feel your heartbeat. Don't leave this place the same. I know that I'll never be alone. I'm proud to have this place to call my own. You don't wanna mess with the city I've been blessed with. The closest thing to heaven I've known. No matter where I go, I'll still be young and wild and reckless. My heart will be forever Texas. Now I hang my hat in Dallas. I'm sure you heard about us, and the legends are true. Strong and steady, always ready. We'll kill you with kindness if we have to. You don't wanna mess with the city I've been blessed with. The closest thing to heaven I've known. No matter where I go, I'll still be young and wild and reckless. My heart will be forever Texas. I know that I'll never be alone. I'm proud to have this place to call my own.